Alright, I need a couple things. I need a creeper to make getting in and out easier. I need ratcheting wrenches so I don't spend all day just trying to loosen one damn bolt. I don't know what else I need right now. Those are only two things that pop into my head. Besides needing my cars running. What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. I don't know why this is so fuzzy. Don't mind the stuff in the back seat. That's literally everything I need to fix this car. But before we start, a few things that are wrong with my car is the shifter has play, nothing crazy, but that could be fixed. As I mentioned in a previous video, the clutch started slipping at 17 pounds when I got it tuned, so that was bound to be replaced sooner or later. When I shift hard, you'll hear the diff clunk, and you could probably see it in the video too. But that gets annoying, so while the clutch is being replaced, I figured might as well fix some of those things. And in the last video, you saw I put in the new steering rack and the output shaft was bent. So that's just a quick rundown of the things that are wrong that I want to get fixed on this car mechanically. But yeah, now let's go get on it before we have to replace everything. So I haven't beat on my car in a while, but figured now is the perfect time since we can actually see the before and after of everything I'm fixing. Should be nice though, getting rid of all these problems. The car's gonna probably drive a million times better and most definitely be quicker. Something to do with the diff bushings or even the trans bushings. I don't know if you could actually see any, like, I guess rough drivetrain movement, but even just driving normal you feel it, which is kind of annoying. Like if I'm going in reverse, clutch in and then release again and whatever, you actually feel it, the whole drivetrain dip. So let's go back to the garage and get started. And we're here. Don't mind the mess. I'm still helping my aunt's friend clear out. But as you can see, I got quite a bit of stuff here to fix my car. As I mentioned before, the clutch is slipping, so we got the clutch, pressure plate, flywheel, and all that stuff, tools to go with it. Here we have all the engine mounts, trans mounts, diff mounts to keep the drivetrain solid, since I do feel it moving under the car. Obviously, this beautiful thing last one I was actually able to find that fits my car for a 92 Legacy Turbo, and for some reason 3 different style radiators came up, but this is the one that actually has all the mounting points in and out ports that actually fit my car, so I'm super excited about that. And then we have some random stuff, well, transmission and differential fluid, since that's never been changed on my car. And here, air filter, but that's after we do all this stuff, drive it 500 miles, I'll put that on before I get it tuned. In here, there's everything for interior stuff, like the center console, which kind of hard to see right now. Things I'm going to add to that, and just some random stuff. Then you see here my parts steering rack, which I'm going to use the output shaft of that to throw in my steering rack that's on the car. And that should be everything mechanically and everything to fix my car 100%. But today, like I said, it's only the mechanical stuff that we're going to be working on. So once that's out of the way, drive it 500 miles while doing a bunch of the other stuff, and then get the car tuned. So I'm going to let the car cool down because I don't want to mess with anything while it's too hot, but maybe I'll lift it up, break some bolts, and then let the car cool down. So let's get to that. That's not good. That's why I'm putting in an AOS after I do the clutch as well, because that's not what you want to see. God damn. What? Oh boy. To get the transmission off, you're gonna have to move the downpipe. As you can see, I got these top bolts off, but if you look over here where that socket is on the nut, it's being very stubborn, so gonna let that soak in penetrating oil. I know you can tell I'm literally dripping, but I got that last bolt off of the turbo for the downpipe. Just look at this damn bolt and tell me how I was still able to get this off with a 14 millimeter socket. And the threads on the stud were rusty as hell. So now we can continue with taking the entire exhaust off, so then we could drop the transmission and get access to the clutch and flywheel finally. I got that rusty bolt off, as I told you. This fucking guy. Now we could take the entire exhaust off and drop the trans. And if you look here, the transmission is already backing out, considering all the bolts are undone. So we will drop the trans, hope everything else fits. I actually have to disconnect the sleeve as well. Mark the drive shaft so we know the orientation that it goes back on. So let me do those few things and get this project rolling. Alright, downpipe is disconnected. Let's get this baby down. Alright, it's down. Just gotta maneuver this guy a little more and it'll come right out. And there it is in all its glory. Now, we can lower the trans, disconnect the last few wiring connections, and mark the drive shaft. So let's do that. So while the transmission is out, we're gonna refresh it quite a bit. I mean, you could see all this is caked in grease. Over here, almost looks like, well, it does look like it was leaking, so probably gonna take that cover off. And then just spray it down with brake clean and use a wire brush to get everything off. Also, it looked like the axle seals were leaking a little bit, so we'll probably replace those since I got them and the transmission is out. But we'll do that, and then we'll get to changing the transmission mount, because if I just show you right here, I don't know if you can see it right now, that thing isn't even connected. So good thing we got a new one. Hopefully it fits, and let's start cleaning this shit. Also, this pitch stop, it's kind of cool. It has a Bridgestone logo right here. I don't know if you can tell, but I don't know if you could also tell. This guy broke in two. So that's 3 out of 5 mounts that I want to change, and 3 of them are already shot. So that's a good sign that I got new ones. So if you look here, the steering rack boot is actually a little wet. It wasn't red like ATF fluid, which it would be if a seal was busted, but we have to pull this out anyway to switch out the steering rack, output shaft, and then I do have a whole reseal kit for this and a spare rack that I could practice on before I actually mess with this one. But let's pull this out so then we could at least switch the steering rack output shaft. Stokes, I have some TIC Comfort rear diff bushings that I can throw in. So we're gonna go take that bracket off and then get to installing these. You see that? See the light through the other side? Pretty sure you're not supposed to see that. But yeah, look, you even see the strands in there from where it ripped. So let's take these out and then we could press the new ones in. You can see how much play there is. I also bought some other bushings, which are these white line rear diff bushings as well. These are for a different location. These are also called outrigger bushings. So you'll see when I put these on, they get sandwiched in between some other bolts. If you look at this picture, it says front of the rear diff support. It says it will suit both early 94 to 2000 and later 2001 and 2002 models of Subaru Impreza, WRX, and STI. So this will fit my car for sure, considering everything is very similar to a 2002 WRX. In a note, from the year 93 to 2000, you're going to be using all 6 of these, where the larger 10mm bushing will have the small diameter 10mm thick bushing on the inside of it. So those will be up top, and then the thin 4mm bushings will go on the bottom next to the retaining plate. So for the 93 WRX, we use all of these. Those outrigger front diff bushings actually go here. So I'm gonna have to move the jack stand elsewhere so I could replace them. So as you saw, the bushings for the rear diff mount did not fit from a 02 WRX. Those are actually meant to go in the rear subframe, where this obviously has a bracket which bolts to the subframe and the diff. I did find the correct ones. They should be here in 2 days, so hopefully I could get everything else done, so once those come in we could finish. Alright, so I know this video has been a little all over the place, but that's because even though I thought I had everything to fix my car, as an import, you do a lot of guess and checking, especially when there's some US models whose parts fit this car, and then there's some US models that don't, or the proper US model has some parts that fit and some parts that don't. It's just a headache, but it's all coming together. So here you can probably see the transmission is much cleaner, much cleaner compared to where all the leaks were. I ordered the gasket for here, so hopefully that won't leak anymore. I ordered the proper axle seals, because the ones I had previously ordered for an 02 WRX, it's actually different. They don't have stubs and you can put them in from the outside. These, you have to take off this little ring around the actual stub and put the seal in from the inside. So that's on its way. We got the correct rear diff bushings from PowerFlex USA. I could also put a screenshot of the ones that fit, because there are two kinds and both say they fit from a 93 to a 2001, I believe. But these should be the correct ones, so we could put that in, and then we can put in the pinion snubber bushings, or the front diff bushings that I have from Whiteline. Then in regards to the shift linkage and everything, so I had these lower shifter bushings from an 02 WRX. Looks like they'll fit, but then I realized a lot of the lateral play is coming from the joint, so it took me actually like an hour or so to figure out what bushings would fit from what model year. So I got the correct ones. These two bushings were surprisingly $17 each, where the bushings for here are the same bushings as the shifter linkage, which is basically used on every model Subaru that I've noticed, and those are only $5 each. So I'm just gonna put these little guys here because I got better poly ones for this. So that should all be sorted very shortly. Still waiting on those bushings. Cleaned up these cross members as well. Now we get to see if these fit, so let's jump on that. This shall go in this, just like so. Those bushings are in on both sides. Everything's secure, so now we can start throwing the trans mount on and some of the shifter bushings. These were the Torque Solutions 2002 to 2014 WRX narrow pivot bushings, but as you can see, this is what happens when you get a foreign car. Everything should fit, but little things like this need modification. So cool, and we'll continue with the rest. Alright, now it's crunch time, so let's finish all these bushings, put the gasket in, and throw this thing back in the car. I finally got everything we need from Subaru, which is why it's been taking me so long. This is the left hand side axle seal. We got the right hand side one. these two bigger O-rings as well, a new dust boot, a shifter spring, gasket for this top cover right here. I think this is the spring that's returned to center, which is on here. And then we got some O-rings for the power steering rack. We got lower shifter bushings and a rear shifter bushing. And then, as you saw, we got the Torque Solutions polyurethane bushings in already, and we just have to trim down this sleeve. So let's get started. So we got the sleeve cut to the right size, got the bolt through with the poly bushings, so that's nice and snug. Next, gonna put on this gasket and then the O-rings for the axles, and then the transmission should be ready to go in. Alrighty, so that's on. Front's on. Got the return to center spring. Reused these knuckle bushings here. New bushings here, new bushings here. New gasket, and now let's do the axle gaskets, or axle O-rings. What we're gonna do first is mark it so we know how much load to put on the diff. Alright. Now we gotta loosen this. $5 1/4. So this O-ring gets pressed in from the back. Just find the appropriate sized socket and tap it out. Let's wipe this up real quick. This is also the right hand side, and if you look here, that's the part number for the left side. The right side ends in 41. I matched these part numbers to the part numbers on JP Parts in Japan for this, and then I found that the US models actually had this as well, so I just got lucky and ordered it from a US dealer. We should throw a little bit of grease on the outer edge so it slides in better. Also, as you can see here, there's an O-ring. I got 2 of them, 1 for each side. I don't have the part number on me because this is how it was given, but I'll put it on the screen for anybody who needs it. Alright, so that was about here. Alright, that one's done. Same thing on the other side. This is a genuine OEM trans mount, but it's a STI Group N mount, so it's going to be a little stiffer Not as crazy as a poly mount, but somewhere in between, which would be good for street use. As you can tell, it's getting dark. There's been thunderstorms on and off all day today. So probably gonna have to close this garage door any minute.